So you want to know what it's like to survive 10 days in the Parasites, no clothes, not even to stash gear, no shoes, no totem, no weapons, no gas mask, just me and the wilderness. Will we manage to defy the brutal environment, to stand our ground against enemies while shivering in the cold, to fight back against the endless hordes? But hey, I'm not planning to spend those 10 days just hiding in a camp. My goals? To heal the horse and to loot every single weapon crate I can find. Will we make it 10 days, or will we fall prey to the wild? Find out right here in this video. And if you enjoy it and want to support my work, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Alright, let's jump in. Anna woke up in a dark cave. Her memory was hazy. She recalled that her small plane had run into trouble and she had crash landed on this unknown island. Her leg was broken, but something else felt off. She felt an unusual urge, a strong one, to remove her clothes. Almost like a compulsion. In the end she kept only her underwear. It still bothered her, but being completely naked didn't feel right either. Looking around the cave, she spotted some sticks and scraps of cloth, enough to make a splint for her leg. But she also found a pistol, some ammo and a torch. But the same strange feeling that made her take off her clothes stopped her from picking up the gun. Instead, she took the torch, some matches and a stone, then searched for the cave's exit. On her way out, she came across a bizarre totem. It was unsettling, clearly built by something or someone else, and they destroyed it and collected the sticks it was made from. They might come in handy. She finally reached the cave entrance and stepped into daylight. Just outside she found an abandoned camp. Inside were some stones, just enough to craft a simple pickaxe. With that, she gathered more stone and made a few basic tools. She also found a first aid kit, a can of soda and a chocolate bar. Not much, but it could make all the difference. Using more stone, she crafted a primitive knife and attached it to a stick to make a spear for self-defense. Then, since she had enough stone now, she left the pickaxe behind and made an axe to carry with her instead. A few steps deeper into the forest, Anna found the wreckage of her plane. It was beyond repair, but just beyond it stood a watchtower. It looked old, but solid, good enough for a shelter, at least for now. Before she could reach it, a bear appeared from the trees. It attacked without warning. With only her spear, Anna had no choice but to fight back. The bear landed a hit, but she managed to bring it down with two well-placed strikes. She was hurt, but alive. She knew she needed protection, fast. She gathered wood and started a fire. Once she felt stable again, she climbed the tower. At the top, she found some old clothes lying around, useful for storing supplies. She decided to stash her items there to keep things organized. Then she went back to the bear. Anna harvested its meat and bones. From the bones, she crafted some bone needles, and with those made a few lockpicks, something that could prove useful later. She cooked the meat over the fire. Then began building a shelter on the tower platform where she planned to sleep safely at night. She also built a second fire up top, knowing how cold it could get. As she worked, she noticed a wolf sleeping nearby. It hadn't attacked yet, but she didn't want to risk it. She dealt with it quickly. While building, the weather suddenly changed. It began to snow. In her underwear, Anna knew she wouldn't last long. She rushed to finish the fire on the tower as the first fire below had already burnt out. She gathered a few logs and carried them up the tower. The cold grew worse by the minute. Even though the shelter was finished, without fire it wouldn't help much. Anna quickly made a new pickaxe, gathered stones and built a fire. She lit it just in time and sat close, trying to stop shivering. It was nearly 11 AM by the time she felt warm enough to move again. She decided to start thinking ahead. Long-term survival would make more preparation. Near the tower, she found a pot, perfect for boiling water. Then, she went looking for some supplies. Back at the plane crash site, she found a suitcase. Inside, a dress. She had no intention of wearing it, but it could be useful for carrying heavy items like the bear pelt. She built a basic tannery and set the pelt out to dry. She wanted to expand her camp further, but the sky darkened again. More cold was coming. She grabbed the pot, jumped into the pond beneath her camp, and filled it with water. It was freezing, but she didn't want to be unprepared. Back at the tower, Anna placed the pot on the fire and lit it again. She was soaked and cold, but the warmth helped. It was just before 1 PM. Once she felt stable again, she continued working. She built a crafting table, then a totem, though she wasn't quite sure what it was for. What mattered now was gear. With her new crafting table, she went back to the pond and mined as much iron as she could carry. As she returned to the tower, it had begun to rain heavily. Perfect timing to build a rain collector. She used some of the iron to forge a metal axe, then crafted a stronger iron spear as well. Freezing and drenched, she huddled back by the fire. It was already 5 PM. Daylight was fading. When she finally warmed up again, evening had settled in. Day 0 was over. Anna had survived, but the real question was, how much longer would she last? Day 1. The sun was shining as Anna woke up to a beautiful morning. It was just before 7 AM. Her camp was set up, bare essentials in place, but she knew that wouldn't be enough. She needed resources. Not far from her camp, Anna spotted what looked like an old, abandoned military base. Curious and cautious, she decided to explore it, but as she arrived, she realized she wasn't alone. Two creatures stood among the ruins. One wore a hazmat suit. It was armed. Anna didn't hesitate. With swift determination, she charged, spear in hand, and struck him down with a single deadly blow. The second creature turned eyes locked on her and lunged, but Anna was ready. Dodging skillfully, she countered with precision. A few clean hits and the monster fell. Then a third figure. It hadn't noticed her yet. She seized the moment, ambushed it, and brought it down before it could react. Anna had no interest in the enemy's weapons. Instead, she turned her attention to the area 3 cases nearby. 2 of them held duct tape, available for crafting and repairs. She took both. The third, useless junk. Inside a nearby tent, she rummaged through a duffel bag. Bingo, a bottle of alcohol and anti-radiation pills. A lucky find because she could already feel the effects of the radiation in the air. On the ground, she spotted a pair of pants. Inside one of the pockets, cold medicine. Anna smiled to herself. Her body was already showing the first signs of an infection. This might buy her time. Lastly, on the cot, she found a pair of scissors. With her arms weighed down, Anna began to slow walk back to camp. She had gathered valuable supplies, items that could make the difference between life and death. But something was already gnawing at her from within, the radiation. Anna remembered a lesson from her school days. Alcohol could help neutralize the effects. Maybe it was worth a try. She downed a bottle she'd found. If nothing else, it lifted her spirits. Just to be safe, she also swallowed one of the anti-radiation pills she had picked up in the tent. As she neared her camp, she froze. A sound, not far away, a deer. Anna knew that if she wanted to survive, she'd have to make use of every single resource, including this one. Quickly, she stashed her haul inside the jacket she'd left up in the tower. Then she grabbed a spare dress, makeshift wrapping material for the deer hide. Once back, she hung the fresh hide up to dry and got to work. Using her tannery, she processed an older tanned leather into scrap skins. She had a plan. She wanted to craft a belt. It would let her carry more, and finally use both her pickaxe and axe. With it on her waist, Anna immediately felt better prepared. Next, she forged an iron pickaxe, strong, reliable, essential. Just in time too. The rain hadn't stopped since morning. Anna was soaked through. The cold started to creep into her bones. To protect herself from the future chills, she came up with a plan. Stockpile wood high up in the tower, where it will stay dry. She dragged log after log up the stairs, her body aching but determined. By around 11 a.m. the cold had become unbearable. She made her way down to the campfire and took a moment to rest, hands outstretched towards the flames. The warmth seeped into her skin, and after a few minutes she was ready to go again. Before long, the wood reserve in the tower was complete. It was noon when Anna looked out over the horizon. She decided it was time to scout the area a little more, just a short trip. Anna headed in the direction of the lighthouse. On her way, she stumbled upon the old bus stop. Several suitcases were scattered around. Inside one of them she found a new bra. The one she was wearing was full of holes, worn down by time and weather. She changed quickly and decided to keep walking a bit further. Just a few steps ahead stood the bus itself, abandoned, rusted, ghostly quiet. More luggage sat beside it, but there was little of use, just some fabric and worn-out clothes. Anna wasn't interested, but the cold would try to kill her. Feeling the drop in temperature, she decided not to risk it. It was time to turn back. As she neared the tower, she spotted movement, 2 creatures charging towards her from the distance. Anna didn't flinch, she was ready. The first creature fell from a well-aimed strike, straight to the head. The second didn't fare much better. She dispatched it quickly and resumed her journey back to safety, just in time. The weather had taken a sharp turn. Cold winds whipped across the landscape. Anna was shaking, frozen to the bone. She rushed to the campfire and lit it with trembling hands. Warmth returned slowly. She stayed by the fire for about 30 minutes before the weather cleared. It was now 2 p.m. She set off again back to the road. Returning to the bus stop, Anna went to check another suitcase, but before she could ever open it, she was attacked. 2 more parasites, aggressive, fast, but Anna was faster. She eliminated them both. They took their teeth as trophies. In the suitcase, a new pair of panties and some fabric. Nothing life-saving, but useful nonetheless. A little further down the road, in the trunk of a wrecked car, Anna found duct tape. She used the vehicle to stash some items she didn't urgently need. Traveling lighter was safer. In the passenger seat, she found a bottle of water. And under the hood, a bird's nest from which she took a few feathers. Further along the road, 2 more car wrecks. She searched the engine bays. More feathers. One of her trunks contained more duct tape and a set of lockpicks. By now, the light was fading. It was time to head back to camp. But the way home was never quiet. Back at the tower, Anna used her collected teeth, duct tape and feathers to craft an upgrade for her spear. Anna lit a fire, her hands, her body numb. She stared in the flames as darkness wrapped around her shelter. When the last night disappeared behind the horizon, she lay down to rest. 2 days survived. Day 2. The sun had already risen when Anna opened her eyes. It was just past 6. Yesterday she had to cut her expedition short, but today she was determined to pick up right where she left off. First, she decided to check out one of the nearby totems left behind by the natives. These strange structures often hid small treasures: food, water, sometimes both. Not long after, Anna was back on the move. Near the abandoned bus, she found a drink, just enough to keep her going. But as she walked down the empty road, a chill ran down her spine. Something was off. A sickness creeping in? No time to think. Up ahead, the figure sprinting straight at her, and infected. But just as she braced herself, he stormed right past her. He hadn't even noticed her. Relief? Too soon. A second infected ambushed her from behind. Anna spun around and took him down in one swift move. He was still breathing, but not for long. The first one was already gone, so Anna kept moving. Not long after, she spotted a truck in the distance, but something else caught her eye. A figure in a hazmat suit, armed, dangerous. Anna crouched low, watched, waited. He hadn't seen her yet. Perfect. She drafted from cover. Closed the distance and took him out with a single silent strike. The road stretched ahead. At the crossroads, a wrecked bus lay sprawled across the asphalt. Another patrol, armed, infected. Anna moved in from behind, quick and quiet. But then a second enemy appeared. Too late to back out now. She charged the first, striking him down before he could react, and turned instantly to the second. He never even saw it coming. Anna continued scouting the area, checking out a nearby car, only to be rudely interrupted from the side. Whoever it was picked the wrong moment. Anna didn't take that kind of disrespect lightly. After dealing with the interruption, she searched the car. Inside, she found a first aid kit. To her relief, it contained cold medicine, just what she needed to fight off the creeping illness. She stored the rest of the kit's content in the trunk for later. The second car didn't have much to offer. Still, Anna made use of the moment, crafted a few more lockpicks, then headed off to explore the rest of the village. The place had an oddly peaceful vibe. Far enough from her original camp, Anna made a decision. She'd set up a second base here in the case she needed a safe spot between journeys. In the backyard of an abandoned house, she got to work. A campfire, a makeshift shelter, a rain collector. By the time she was done, the sun has climbed past 11 a.m. Ready to move on, Anna set off again, lost in thought, and that's when it happened. She didn't see it until it was too late. A scorpion. The sting was sharp, the venom immediate. Right there near the bite, she spotted a fly-agaric mushroom. Toxic on its own, but a key ingredient for antivenom. She needed more. Still focused on her search, Anna barely noticed the shadow creeping up behind her, but her instincts kicked in. She dodged just in time and neutralized the attacker in a flash. No time to lose, she kept searching. Near the lighthouse, her luck finally turned. Nestled among the weeds, she found it, an aconite flower. The second piece of the cure. Her search brought her all the way to the lighthouse. Still, she hadn't found the final ingredient, aloe vera. Without it, the antivenom was incomplete. Crossing the front yard and circling around to the back, she finally spotted it, aloe vera growing wild behind the structure. Right then and there, Anna mixed the ingredients and drank the antidote. Relief washed over her. The venom had lost. But a new problem had crept in. Time had passed and the weather was turning fast. Dark clouds gathered and the air grew colder. Just in case the temperature dropped further, Anna found a nearby container. Inside, she set up a small campfire and built a basic shelter. Always be ready. If the cold forced her to stay put, she'd need a safe spot to ride it out. As a reward for her effort, a single raw egg. It was 1 PM. While she was already at the lighthouse, Anna decided to scavenge the place. On the corpse, she found 10 teeth, perfect crafting material. Aside from some fabric and the usual junk, the lighthouse didn't offer much else. It was a nice place, quiet, secluded. It could have made up a good camp, but it was too far off the path, too isolated. Anna made a call. She'd head back to the village. Back at the village, she stashed everything in a nearby car. Then checked in on a newly built camp. Anna decided to explore the village a little further. Her main focus, the old grocery store on the far side of town. There she found more teeth, useful as ever, and a full roll of duct tape. Jackpot! She returned to the car where she had stored her supplies earlier. From the trunk, she retrieved a handful of feathers, just what she needed. With the feathers and tape, she crafted reinforcement material for her spear. Right there, she upgraded her weapon, significantly, stronger, deadlier. On her way into the village earlier, she had passed a car she hadn't checked. Now seemed like the right time. But nothing of value, just scraps. A few steps further, new old bust or luggage, but disappointing. Not far from the stop, she found another vehicle. This time, a small win, a bottle of water, always useful. Anna decided it was time to return to her camp. On the way back, something caught her eye. All 3 ingredients she'd need for a snakebite antidote, just like there. She didn't need it now, but she brewed the antidote anyway. Better safe than sorry. Just before reaching her tent, she had a brief run-in with a local. Nothing serious, just another interruption on a long day. By the time she made it back to her camp, the sun was already low. It was just 5 PM. Darkness was coming. Anna spent some time around the camp, and as the last light slipped behind the trees, she lay down to rest. Another day survived, but the island was far from done with her. Day 3. Anna woke up in her new outpost, tucked away in the heart of the village. It was just past 7 AM. And the world outside was quiet, eerily quiet. She stepped outside to scout the area. Silence. Beside her sleeping spot, there was a car, one she hadn't checked yet. Inside, nothing of real value, but it was close to camp and offered a perfect makeshift storage. Anna emptied the other vehicle she'd used yesterday and carefully transferred everything into this new one. Organized, practical, survival wasn't just about instinct. It was about efficiency. She also gathered materials to upgrade her spear, tools she knew she'd need, but something told her to hold off on the project, at least for now. Just as she was about to head out, the first flakes of snow began to fall. Plans changed in an instant. The storm was picking up, she had no choice but to wait out by the fire. Shivering underneath the flames and huddled close. The cold bit through her clothes, but the fire gave her just enough warmth to hold on. 30 minutes passed, the snowfall eased, the forest cold. Anna stood up, stretched and decided it was time. No more waiting. Instead of sticking to the beaten path, she took a risk, cutting straight through the forest. She followed the river, its soft trickling guiding her deeper into the unknown. Eventually she reached a crossing. For the log stretched over the stream, she balanced carefully step by step, making her way to the other side. Moments later, a narrow trail emerged, winding deeper into the woods. Without hesitation, she followed it, drawn by curiosity and perhaps something more. The air was heavy, thick with radiation. Anna felt it like an invisible weight pressing down on her chest. That's when she saw it, the wreck of an old helicopter, twisted metal half swallowed by the earth, but then movement. A lone infected wandered nearby. Without hesitation, Anna closed the distance. 2 sharp strikes, calculated and swift, and the creature collapsed. But there wasn't time to breathe. Another infected was lurking. At first, it backed away unsure. Then it launched. But Anna was ready. She met its charge head-on and took it down without a scratch. Then came the third, charging straight at her, wild and reckless. But Anna kept her cool, focused, composed, and once again she stood victorious. Area fell silent. Scattered around the wreck were remnants of military gear, some weapon crates, but Anna left them all untouched. Even in this world, even now, she didn't want to rely on guns. She had what she needed, and so she turned back. The return to the village was quiet, peaceful even. By the time she reached her outpost, snow had started to falling again. Soft at first, but persistent. She had made it back just in time. Before she could rest though, she had to deal with one last surprise. An uninvited guest, drawn by the scent of the fire, curious and not welcome. Anna handled it quickly. The snow kept falling, this time heavier, longer. Hours passed. She sat by the fire, feeding it with fresh logs, keeping the cold at bay. By 2 p.m, the sky was still grey and the air bit at her skin. There was no venturing out, so Anna used the time well, finally upgrading her spear, a weapon she could trust. She gathered her supplies from the car, readying for the journey back to her main camp. By then, the snowfall had eased. The fog remained, but the temperature had just climbed enough. It was time to move. The path home was quiet, but the chill never left her side. Mist curled around the trees, following her every step. And by the time she reached the base of her tower, she could feel it creeping in again, the cold. Anna climbed the tower quickly, cold nipping at her heels. Once at the top, she packed away her loot, everything she gathered now safely tucked inside her jacket. It was 4 p.m. While sorting through a nearby suitcase, she made an unexpected discovery. A new bra. Nothing fancy, but clean, unworn. And given the state of her own, it was a welcome upgrade. She changed without hesitation. In this world, even small comfort meant a lot. With daylight fading, Anna stayed busy. She crafted a few scrap skins and hung a fresh hide to dry. Her hands worked methodically. Her mind was already focused on the next goal. She had a plan. Craft a saddle. But for that, she needed more resources, materials she didn't yet have. The task would have to wait. The sun began to dip below the trees, bathing the forest in a pale orange glow. Anna crawled into her tent, her body heavy with exhaustion. The wind whispered outside, the tower creaked gently, and the forest settled into silence. Her 4th day was over. Day 4. Anna woke up while it was still dark, just before 5 a.m. The air was cold, the world silent. It was too early to set out, so she lingered by the fire a little longer, warming her hands and gathering her thoughts. By 6, the first light had crept over the horizon. It was time. Today's goal? The beach. She hoped to scavenge metal parts among the scattered debris and rusted shipping containers. Parts she desperately needed to craft a saddle. Barely minutes after setting off, Anna was ambushed by an infected. She brought him down in seconds, quick, precise. But before she could even catch a breath, a wolf leapt from the underbrush. Anna fought him off, but barely had time to react before another infected came charging at her from the trees. Once the threat was dealt with, she skinned the wolf. Its pelt would be useful, essential even, for crafting more scrap skins. Realizing she was still close to the tower, Anna doubled back. Carrying the heavy hide all the way to the beach wasn't an option. She needed to travel light. On her way back, another infected appeared, but this time just one. 2 swift strikes with her spear and it was over. Back at camp, she hung the wolf pelt to dry. As soon as the downpour stopped, she set off, soaked, shivering, but determined. She hoped the road ahead would warm her up. But Anna didn't get far. Up ahead, an infected had just taken down a deer. Before it could choose her as its next target, Anna made a call, strike first, but the creature bolted, disappearing into the woods. Instead, another infected blindsided her from behind. She spun, reacted instinctively, eliminated the threat in seconds. The first infected never came back. Anna turned her attention to the deer. Wasting nothing, she skinned it. Deer hide will come in handy later. She packed the hide into a makeshift dress to carry it. A great find, but too heavy for the journey ahead. If she wanted to reach the beach and return with metal parts, she couldn't afford any extra weight, so she headed back once again. Not the waist though, the temperature had dropped sharply and soaked to the bone. And the wolf started freezing again soon anyway. Back at camp, warmed and refocused, Anna set out once more. This time, she wouldn't let anything stop her. On the road to the beach, she came across an old car. Curious, she tried to pry open the trunk, but something moved at the corner of her eye. She raided her spear. The real threat, however, came from the side. An infected lunged at her out of nowhere. Anna dodged just in time and countered with force. But it wasn't over. The infected she'd first seen charged her too. One attacker wasn't enough, another joined the fray, 3 against 1. Anna fought them off, her movement sharp, controlled, relentless. Eventually she reached the outskirts of a small village, but rushing in blind wasn't an option. She set up a camp nearby, built a fire under the shelter of an old bus stop, pitched a tent close by. You know what? It would be great to build it somewhere next. Jesus Christ, why are you like this? A place to rest, regroup, prepare. And since she was already setting up camp, Anna decided to build a rain collector too. Just as she finished, the first snowflakes began to fall. Again, Anna had no choice but to take an unplanned break by the fire, forced to sit, wait, and warm herself as the cold crept in. An hour passed. Then finally she could move again. The moment she stepped into the village, a wolf attacked her. On its own, it wasn't much of a threat. Anna brought it down quickly. But no time to relax. Another enemy was already in sight. There is a guy. There is a guy in front of us. Let's sneak up on him and kill him. I said kill him. Kill him. Wonderful. Let's wait a second. Regain our stamina and check our environment. I hear more, I hear more, I hear more, way more, 3 more. No, don't do this. 4 guys! Let's stand still for the stamina. Jesus! This was a wasp nest. And a wolf. Please attack the wolf. Do me the favor, attack the wolf. They're flanking me. The wolf is helping me. Please help me, not them. Help me, not them. Yeah, exactly, like this. Whew. Well done, doggy. Jesus Christ, I've never seen that many enemies at once. I'm afraid to open up my watch. Okay, stage is lost bleeding. With calm determination, she fought her way through the chaos. Against all odds, Anna emerged victorious. This had been the toughest battle yet, so far. Behind the village, Anna found an old camp, just enough shelter to catch her breath. There, tucked inside a rusted crate, was a can of soda. She drank, cold, sweet relief. But even here, peace didn't last. Another infected came too close. Anna dealt with him, then pushed onward. Finally, she reached the beach, but just as she arrived, the snow returned. Still injured from the fight in the village, she couldn't afford to lose more strength to the cold. She had to move fast. She grabbed 2 metal parts and turned back immediately. The air grew colder with every step. Then a sudden explosion echoed from the trees. She froze. That could mean only one thing: an enemy. She was desperate to reach the fire, but first she had to survive. Another infected charged at her. With her last ounce of strength, Anna fought back and won. But the cold was relentless. Her limbs numb, her body shaking, she stumbled toward the camp. Another enemy appeared. One more. She pushed through, barely making it to the fire in time. She struck the flint. Flame rose. Anna collapsed by the fire, shivering violently, utterly spent, but alive. She'd made it. The snow kept falling. Time crawled. At one point, she had to get up just to throw more wood on the fire. Hours passed. Finally, the snowfall stopped. The air grew less bitter and the sky turned dusky purple. Evening had come. Anna decided to stay the night. She sat quietly by the fire, watching the flames dance. And as the sun dipped behind the horizon, she lay down to rest. Day 4 has ended. Day 5. Anna woke up early, way too early, in her makeshift camp on the edge of the village. It was barely 4 a.m, still dark, still cold, far too cold to venture out, so she stayed by the fire, waiting for the first signs of sunrise. By 6 it was still gloomy, but Anna was done waiting. Time was precious. She set off, heading back towards her main camp near the tower. Most of the path was quiet, eerily quiet, until 2 infected emerged from the shadows. A third followed behind, but strangely, none of them approached. They just stood there. Anna had no choice. She stepped forward and attacked. The first one didn't even fight back. One swift strike, and he was down. But then she realized she was in a contaminated zone. This wasn't the place for a fight. She sprinted forward to escape the radiation. One of the remaining infected chased her. She took him out fast. The third, nowhere to be seen. Fine by her, she pressed on. Just as she checked her vitals on her watch, ambush. 2 more infected coming in fast. Anna reacted instantly.
She dodged, struck the first one down before the second would join in. Then a third appeared, now 2 against 1. But Anna wasn't the same anymore. She had learned, she had adapted. One powerful strike dropped the first. The third staggered back up, but in a one-on-one he never stood a chance. By the time she reached her tower, rain was pouring down. She stashed the metal parts she'd scavenged and walked up by the fire. From the turtle shell she brought back from the beach, she built a rain collector. Finally, something to hold clean water. Then came the real project, a saddle. She had everything she needed, and within minutes it was ready. The rains followed right after. Now she had everything to ride a horse. She'd packed some flax and aconite flowers, vital ingredients for crafting horse feet. She'd still need blueberries, but she was confident she'd find some along the way. Traveling light was key. But once again, her departure had to wait. Snow started falling, heavy and relentless. There was no choice. Back to the fire. Only when the snowfall eased and she had warmed up a little did Anna try again. The road ahead, mostly quiet. A few minor disturbances, but nothing serious. Before she knew it, she was back at the camp near the village, the same place where her day had begun. She paused briefly. It was midday and time to move on. Anna had already covered a good stretch of the road when she passed the gas station. That's where she ran into her first infected in a while. Then a second one. But lone stragglers weren't a threat anymore. Anna had changed. She dealt with them swiftly. Further ahead, she reached a crossroads. She paused, considering if this could be a good spot for a temporary camp. But the moment didn't last. Another interruption. Once cleared, she made her decision. Right here, she'd set up a tent. And moments later, it stood firm against the elements. At 1:30, Anna pushed forward once more. Just a few steps down the road, she came across the crash site of a passenger's plane. The air here felt charged, heavy, wrong. Anna didn't want to linger. She just wanted to pass through as quickly as possible. But first, an obstacle blocked her path. Just a few steps past the crash site, Anna reached another crossroads. An infected loitered there, and the moment he spotted her, he attacked. The sound of the fight drew another one out, but alone they didn't stand a chance. Anna dispatched them quickly and moved on. Nearby she noticed a weapon crate. Curious, she checked inside. Nothing worth taking, so she turned away and continued on. Following the road, she climbed a small hill, and beyond it, a small settlement came into view, a scattering of houses. From a distance, the local welcoming committee was already rushing toward her, but something was different now. Anna's confidence alone seemed enough to send them running. She had no interest in chasing them down. Instead, she focused on the houses ahead. Rain was pouring down in sheets, and night wouldn't be far off. She needed shelter. In one of the buildings, she spotted something. A horse injured lying on the ground. She would help it, but first, she needed a place to survive the night. Soaking wet and shivering, she built a rain collector to catch the endless downpour. Then she crafted a campfire. Cold crept deep into her bones, so she lit the fire first and sat close, letting the warmth bring her back. Once she had warmed up, Anna carried on. Nightfall was creeping in, and she still had no proper shelter. She gathered some logs, just enough. Before long, a small shelter inside of the house ruins. As a reward, she returned to fire, soaking in its warmth once more. It was 3:30. With the camp ready for the night, Anna turned her attention back to the horse. It was still lying there, injured. She needed to clean its wounds, give it water, food, but she had none of that with her. So she went searching. In the building next door, she checked the totems for cloth, maybe enough for a bandage, but they were empty. She followed the road for a while, scanning the woods and paths. Blueberries, she'd need those, but nothing at all. She checked the nearby gas station, completely stripped, no supplies. Still she pressed on. Eventually she reached another small settlement, but her body was tired. The sun was setting fast. She knew it was time to head back. By the time Anna returned to her camp, darkness had fully settled. She sat for a short while beside the horse, offering what little comfort she could. Then she crawled into her shelter, lay down, and let sleep take her. She had survived 6 days, and tomorrow she tried to save the horse.
Day 6. Once again, Anna woke up in the darkness. It was 5 in the morning. She waited patiently for the first rays of sunlight, then set off, her goal to help the injured horse. But for that, she still needed supplies. She checked the totems again, hoping to find some fabric. No luck. So she kept walking, following the road in the direction of the settlement she had spotted the day before. While searching for blueberries to make food for the horse, she came across a bridge. Still nothing. Not even across the other side. No berries, no help. Just silence. She followed the railway tracks for a while, eyes scanning every bush, every shadow. Still nothing. Not even by a nearby lake. So she changed plans and explored the settlement instead. Maybe she'd find something there. In one of the houses, she finally struck gold, a piece of fabric. Enough to craft a bandage, enough to help the horse. The air was turning colder, and it decided it was time to head back, with at least a bandage in hand. She kept an eye out for blueberries on the way. No luck there either. Back at the horse, she gently wrapped the wound. The effect was immediate, it helped, the healing had begun. But without food, it wouldn't last. So once again, Anna set off, this time down the other side of the road. Eyes low, scanning every roadside bush. Still no berries. Anna wandered farther and farther on her search. She combed the entire region, checked every corner, fought off enemies and pushed through the woods all the way down to the beach. Still no berries. At a distant gas station, she spotted one of the headless, but Anna wasn't interested. She had a different mission. She'd had enough of aimless searching. Then she remembered. She had seen blueberries before, but it was far from here. Still, wandering without direction might take even longer. So she turned around and made the long trek back to the airplane. She crossed through the wreckage and kept going, all the way to another gas station. Still no berries. Pointless. So she shifted direction again, this time toward the helicopter crash site. Just before she reached it, she came across a small stream, and there it was, finally a bush full of blueberries. The longest berry hunt imaginable had come to an end. On her way back, Anna passed by a military outpost. Curious, she decided to take a closer look.
Everybody get on the dance floor. Feel the beat. Everybody get on the dance floor. Feel the beat.
After dealing with its guards, she opened a weapon crate tucked inside a container. But nothing useful, nothing she needed. Time was running out. She had to return to the horse. With everything now gathered to prepare proper food, she finally reached her injured companion. But it was too late. She had been gone too long. The healing process had stopped. She would have to start all over again. Frustrating, yes, but there was still time. It was only midday. This time she would get everything right. Determined, Anna headed back towards the settlement to find more fabric for a new bandage. The road was quiet, but Anna wasn't at ease. It was cold, and the horse healing just wasn't progressing. Anna stepped into one of the houses and used a piece of fabric to craft another bandage. But her backpack was full. She made a tough call, dropped her lockpicks to make room. The horse would also need water. She found a bottle, but to carry it, she had to throw away her antidotes. A risky move, but she was determined to help the horse. Once more she returned. She was freezing but focused. This time she would make it work. She carefully bandaged the wound again, but then frustration. She couldn't use the water bottle to give the horse a drink. It didn't work. It was maddening. At least she could feed it. But water remained a problem. She'd have to head out again. But first she needed to take care of herself. Warmth, fire, rest. Nearly 2 hours passed at the campfire. She fed the flames, then checked the horse. The healing was progressing well, but it still needed more. Anna had to act. She headed back to the settlement. She remembered a bottle of alcohol inside one of the houses. She drank it, emptied the bottle, and brought it back with her. Back at the horse, she filled the empty glass bottle with water from a puddle, and finally the horse could drink. But once again, too much time had passed. The healing process had halted. The bandage needed to be replaced, and she had nothing left. Time to move, fast. She sprinted back to the settlement, crafted a new bandage, and raced the clock back to the horse. It was raining, cold, but Anna had only one mission. She applied the bandage again, but the healing progress had nearly reset. Would it be enough this time? She stayed by the fire, watched, waited, checked the horse over and over again. She hoped, please let this be enough. It was already 4 p.m. The day was ending, and still the horse wasn't back on its feet. Waiting alone wouldn't cut it. Before nightfall, Anna ventured out one final time. She grabbed every scrap of fabric she could find. It was the right decision. Without it, she might have failed. Now, with one final bandage crafted and applied, she hoped. It was 5 p.m. Darkness had fallen. She waited surrounded by shadows. And then it happened. In the pitch black she heard it. A whinny. The horse stood. She quickly fitted it with a saddle and reins. Relief, joy, victory. At last, just before night took hold, she had done it. Anna could finally rest, her heart full and her mission complete.
Day 7. Anna woke to the warmth of the morning sun, rays filtering softly through the trees. Beside her stood the horse she had nursed back to health the night before, a silent companion in this strange, ravaged world. Without hesitation, she climbed into the saddle. After all the hardship, it was finally time to leave this place behind, together. Bathed in sunlight, they rode back towards the familiar, towards the base of the tower, toward home. The ride back was swift, much faster than the journey out.
There's no one I can turn to.
Home sweet home. But her spear told a different story. Dulled, battered by the trials of exploration. It had seen one battle too many. Time for a new one. Anna mined a bit of iron, just enough, and with practiced hands forged a new iron spear, stronger, sharper, ready. With extra resources to spare, she crafted an upgrade kit and enhanced it further, preparing for whatever came next. With no urgent tasks left for the day, Anna turned her attention to the camp itself. It was time to make it feel more like home, more like a place worth surviving for. On her way out, she ran into an affected. This time, she took its skull, a grim trophy, maybe, or just a reminder. Another ambush on the way back, but the interruption no longer faced her. She was sharper now, faster. The second attacker never stood a chance.
Back at the top of the tower, she restocked her supplies of lockpicks, and with infected skull and an old light bulb she'd scavenged earlier, she built a lamp. Powered by a solar module, a small beacon in the dark. Finally, night wouldn't feel so endless. Her bra had taken a beating during the trip, so she rummaged through nearby suitcases. The first one held just what she needed, a perfect fit. And just like that, Anna was ready again. Ready for whatever tomorrow would bring. In an old suitcase, Anna found something simple but precious, food. After everything that had happened in the past few days, today she took it slow. She even tended to her bleeding feet, wounds she had ignored for far too long. For once, she allowed herself a moment to just sit, to breathe, to think, to reflect on how far she'd come, but stillness was never her nature. Sitting there, watching the wind pass through the trees, it wasn't enough. So she set out again, just to see what she might find. Something, anything that could make survival a little easier. At a small checkpoint near the edge of the forest, she found another light bulb, a good find. More lights for the camp meant more safety after sunset. Further up the road, inside a rusted out car, she came across something unexpected. A skull she had left behind at the beginning of her journey. Funny how the island always had a way of circling back. Someone or something tried to stop her from checking the rest of the car, but Anna, she handled it without so much as a scratch. Her hands were full now, time to head back. But before returning, she made a quick stop near the irradiated tunnel, scavenging through the abandoned cars nearby. She hoped for more bulbs, anything to light up the darkness, but nothing useful. Back at camp, she installed a new bulb and added the skull to a second lamp. A few more stones, a bit of wire, and soon both lights were connected. The tower shone just a little brighter now. Energized by her progress, Anna did something bold. She tore down the totem she had built on her first day, a symbol of the battle inside her, a message to herself, I am still in control. Then she started building a small palisade around her camp, just in case she stayed longer than expected. But as evening fell and the rain started to come down, she began to shiver, enough for one day. She sat by the fire, warming her hands in the flickering glow. And when the night finally swallowed the island once more, she crawled into her tent. 8 days survived.
Day 8. By now, Anna had no grand plans left. Survival was her routine. Today, her only goal was to continue working on her camp. She began with the lamp at the entrance. It was nearly complete, just missing one final eerie touch. A skull. So she ventured out once more. It didn't take long. Near the irradiated tunnel, an area she had scouted before, she spotted the infected. The first one went down without a fight. The second came charging in, but it was already too late. One-on-one, Anna had the upper hand. She defeated him swiftly and claimed her prize, 2 skulls. The rain began to fall, cold and relentless. Without wasting time, she made her way back to the safety of her camp. There she mounted the skull onto the lamp, an unsettling but fitting finishing touch, and warmed herself by the fire. In this world, cold rain meant real danger, hypothermia. But there was no time to rest. After a few stretches to keep the blood flowing, Anna got back to work, strengthening the wall what will protect her from what lurked beyond the trees. Just as she finished building the gate, she heard it, the terrifying stomp. The wall held, barely, but the bear had left deep scars behind. Wounded and freezing, Anna once again returned to the fire, her lifeline. She stayed there for nearly 2 hours, shivering, healing, waiting. She wasn't fully recovered, but just sitting there was not typical for her. Maybe if she stayed close to the tower, maybe she could keep working. Maybe survival was just about doing enough. Later that day, Anna picked a tree near the camp. It had to come down, but she realized too late. It was falling toward her. Still weakened from the bear attack, she had no time to react. The massive trunk struck her. Darkness. When she came to, bruised and angry, she cursed herself for the mistake. Survival punished carelessness. And Anna, she needed to release the frustration. 2 infected wandered too close to the tower. That was a mistake they wouldn't live to regret. She struck them down with precision, taking another skull as a grim trophy. To calm herself, she turned back to her wall, the one thing that gave her a sense of control. She even finished another skull on the upper level of her tower. The rest of the day was spent building. Hours passed. Piece by piece, she sealed the rear entrance of her camp. But just as she was about to continue work on the front, the rain returned, and with it, the cold. Anna didn't argue with the weather anymore. The trauma of the fallen tree was still fresh. She wouldn't take unnecessary risks. Once the rain passed and the fire had done its job, she resumed work. Her hands were raw, her body aching, but she kept going. By the time night fell, the wall still wasn't finished, but the progress was real. Tomorrow she will complete it. Tonight she allowed herself a moment of peace. The sunset, soft, golden, fleeting, painted a rare beauty across the sky. A reminder that there was still something worth holding on to. And when darkness finally swallowed the island again, Anna lay down and closed her eyes. One more day survived. Day 9, the final day. Anna woke to the sun already high in the sky. Today she had one goal, finish the wall, and she got straight to it.
I hope you gon' lay it out for I'm backing up to where I used to be. I won't stand for you being on lazy. No, I don't care if it takes you all week. I expect a little more sensitivity.
It didn't take long. With the final placement, the barrier was complete. She even brought her horse into the safety of the walls. For the first time in days, the island didn't feel quite so wild. With her defenses in place, Anna turned to something smaller, something peaceful. She built a birdhouse. But even on the 10th day, nature gave no rest. The rain returned, forcing her back to the fire to avoid the chill.
I hope you're gonna lay it out for me, 'cause I'm backing up to where I used to be. I won't stand for you being on lazy. No, I don't care if it's
Still, she wasn't done. Once warm, she climbed the tower again, dragging up more logs. From them she crafted a small table, a modest bench. Then, for the first time in what felt like forever, Anna allowed herself a break. She sat down. A simple moment, a small victory, but it mattered. The quiet inspired her. What if she built a real bed in the tower? Something soft, something human. But for that, she'd need furs, and she had none. Knowing she likely wouldn't find enough in just one day, Anna still had it out. It was worth a try.
feel you breathe, feel you all around.
She explored the nearby woods, checked all suitcases, wandered to places she hadn't dared go before. Nothing.
Come down to me, down to me, down to me, down. I wanna feel you breathe, feel you breathe, feel you all around. Come down to me, down to me, down to me, down.
As the cold crept back in, she decided to return. And just when she'd given up hope, she saw it. A fox, under attack by an infected.
Down to me, down to me, down. I wanna feel you breathe, feel you breathe, feel you all around. Down to me, down. Feel you all around.
Anna stopped in, took down the thread and patched her wounds. She skinned the fox, desperate for even a scrap of usable fur. But luck wasn't on her side. The pelt was ruined. Empty-handed, she returned to her camp. She worked a little more on the bed, just to feel like she hadn't failed completely. But without the fur, it would remain unfinished. Well, guys, I think this will be it for this series, right? We have 4 o'clock on our last day. We managed to complete this series, managed to survive. You might argue that I lost one fake life. This is totally a case, but I only lost it due to some stupid circumstances, so I think this is okay. Let's see, we have one small fire here for the pencil. We have a solar module for our lights. I wanted to illuminate the whole tower, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find that many light bulbs. We built a wall around our base just because we had some time. We got our horsey right here, and we have some feathers. Yeah, we do. And we also visited all the weapon cases. As the sun dipped behind the trees, she sat by the fire one last time. The same fire that had warmed her through storm and frost. And she looked back. 10 days alone on this island. But she survived. There we go, guys. We did it. This challenge was inspired by a viewer named Asylum. Huge thanks to him for the idea. If you want to watch the full uncut version of this challenge, head over to my second channel. I'll be uploading every part there without edits. Want more survival stories like this one? Check out my other videos. And if you enjoy the content and want to support me, hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.